News of a possible missile attack on Israel always sparks global concern, as the world knows that any escalation in this region can have far-reaching consequences. The mere mention of such threats is enough to send shockwaves through international markets and diplomatic circles. But this time, rumors of a joint Russia-Iran operation sent shockwaves far beyond the region, raising the stakes and intensifying fears of a broader conflict. The idea of two powerful nations collaborating in a military move against Israel is unprecedented in recent years. Reports of missiles targeting Tel Aviv and Haifa triggered panic, with emergency sirens blaring and civilians scrambling for safety. These moments highlighted the world's anxiety over shifting alliances and escalating tensions, as people wondered if a new war was about to erupt. The idea of Russia and Iran coordinating against Israel taps into real fears about a new, more dangerous era in the Middle East. Analysts scrambled to interpret the implications, while governments weighed their responses. These rumors gained traction because the Russia-Iran partnership has grown stronger in recent years, with both countries sharing strategic interests. Meanwhile, Iran-Israel hostility remains a volatile flashpoint, fueling speculation and uncertainty. The possibility of a joint attack, even as a rumor, underscores how fragile the region's security truly is. It reveals just how quickly fear can spread and how easily misinformation can escalate tensions. Today, we'll break down the facts. Did a Russia-Iran missile attack actually happen? What's driving these alliances, and how much of the panic is based on reality versus rumor? We'll also explore what these shifting alliances mean for the future of the region, and why the world's attention remains fixed on every development. The emergency alerts in Tel Aviv and Haifa may have been false alarms, but the tensions and fears that made them believable are all too real, reflecting the deep uncertainty that hangs over the Middle East. This episode is a stark reminder of how close the Middle East is to a major conflict, and why the world is watching so closely, hoping for stability but preparing for the worst. The Iran-Israel conflict is rooted in decades of history and ideology. Before 1979, Iran and Israel had relatively normal relations, but the Islamic Revolution transformed Iran into a staunchly anti-Israel state. Iran's new leadership saw Israel as illegitimate and began supporting militant groups like Hezbollah and Hamas to challenge Israel indirectly. This proxy war has kept Israel under constant threat, fueling a cycle of attacks and retaliation. The stakes rose further when Iran pursued nuclear capabilities, prompting Israel to launch covert operations and sabotage. Each side now views the other as an existential threat, making de-escalation nearly impossible. Every drone strike, rocket attack, and cyber operation is part of this ongoing shadow war. The deep distrust and existential fears on both sides keep the region on edge. That's why even a rumor of a direct attack can spark fears of a catastrophic escalation. Russia's role in the Middle East is a complex balancing act, shaped by history, ambition, and shifting alliances. Moscow has long sought to expand its influence in the region, carefully navigating between rival powers and volatile conflicts. On one hand, Moscow partners closely with Iran to counterbalance Western influence, sharing military and economic interests. Yet, at the same time, Russia maintains pragmatic and sometimes surprisingly warm ties with Israel, engaging in regular diplomatic and security dialogues. President Putin has repeatedly offered to mediate between Iran and Israel, positioning Russia as a potential peacemaker in the eyes of the world, while always advancing its own strategic interests behind the scenes. Russia's mediation offer is highly strategic. Rather than seeking a true resolution, Moscow aims to manage the conflict, keeping the region just unstable enough to serve its own geopolitical goals and maintain leverage over all parties involved. A major, all-out war would threaten Russia's hard-won interests in Syria and beyond. But a contained, simmering conflict distracts the United States, boosts global oil prices, and allows Russia to profit both politically and economically. Russia continues to support Iran, especially in military and energy cooperation. but it is careful not to cross red lines that would alienate Israel or the Gulf states, whose cooperation Moscow also values. This careful diplomatic dance allows Moscow to maintain open channels with all sides, making it a unique, unpredictable, and sometimes indispensable player in the region's politics. Whether Russia acts as a genuine peacemaker or simply a power broker always depends on what benefits Moscow most at any given moment. This calculated ambiguity keeps everyone guessing and ensures the region remains on edge, with Russia always at the center of the game. On June 21, 2025, rumors of a Russia-Iran missile attack on Israel spread rapidly, causing widespread panic and confusion across the country. News of the alleged attack raced through social media and messaging apps, leaving many unsure of what was real and what was fabricated. Social media buzzed with alarming claims of emergency sirens blaring in Tel Aviv and Haifa, prompting people to seek shelter and contact loved ones. However, official sources quickly stepped in to debunk the reports. There was no missile attack, and the sirens were never activated. The entire incident was traced back to a wave of misinformation, possibly orchestrated as part of a sophisticated cyber operation designed to sow chaos and uncertainty among the population. In today's hyper-connected world, disinformation can be as dangerous as actual missiles, preying on real fears about shifting regional alliances and the ever-present threat of conflict. The goal of such operations is clear: create anxiety, confuse both citizens and leaders, and test how the international community might react in a real crisis. The fact that so many people believed the rumor, even if only for a short time, shows just how tense and fragile the situation is in the region, and how quickly fear can spread. This episode serves as a stark warning. Future conflicts could be triggered not just by missiles, but by a single tweet, a viral video, or a well-timed hack, making information warfare a new front line. Even when the threat turns out to be fake, the psychological and social danger is very real, leaving lasting scars on communities and individuals. The Middle East remains a powder keg, where perception and rumor can be just as explosive and destabilizing as reality itself, reminding us all of the power and peril of information in modern conflict. Iran projects itself as a military powerhouse, relying on ballistic missiles and a vast network of proxy forces. Its missile arsenal is designed to deter adversaries and extend its reach across the region. But recent confrontations have exposed weaknesses. Missile strikes have sometimes missed their targets, and Israeli operations have penetrated Iranian defenses. These setbacks challenge the myth of Iranian invincibility and force Tehran to reassess its strategy. Russia, while valuing Iran as a partner, is now more cautious, seeing the limits of Iran's military power. Despite vulnerabilities, Iran's strength lies in asymmetric warfare, using unconventional tactics and proxies to destabilize foes. Its ability to inflict damage remains significant, even if its conventional forces are flawed. Iran is unpredictable, capable of both absorbing blows and delivering them in return. This mix of strength and vulnerability makes Iran a dangerous actor in the region. Despite growing ties, Russia is careful not to give Iran full military support. Moscow's main focus is the war in Ukraine, which consumes its resources and attention. Getting involved in a Middle East war, especially against Israel and possibly the US, would be a costly overreach. Russia also values its relationships with Israel and Gulf states, which would be jeopardized by openly backing Iran. Moscow's support is calculated defensive systems, electronic warfare, and diplomatic cover, but not advanced offensive weapons. Russia knows Iran's military has weaknesses and doesn't want to back a losing side. The partnership is transactional, useful for challenging the West, but not worth risking Russia's broader interests. Russia's national interests come first, dictating caution and restraint. Moscow is willing to be Iran's partner, but not its protector at any cost. This balancing act defines Russia's measured, self-serving approach in the region. Despite caution, the Russia-Iran partnership is deepening, forming a new axis in global politics. Both nations are united by opposition to the West and shared isolation from the international community. Their cooperation is strategic and long-term, not just a temporary alliance. Iran supplies Russia with drones for Ukraine while seeking advanced Russian military technology in return. A new strategic partnership treaty is in the works, covering defense, trade, energy, and technology. For Iran, this means diplomatic backing from a UN Security Council member. For Russia, a key ally in a vital region. The alliance worries Israel, Gulf states, and the West, as it could shift the balance of power. A more capable, confident Iran, backed by Russia, raises the stakes for everyone. This partnership is reshaping the global order, making the world more volatile and unpredictable. The Middle East stands at a crossroads, with Iran, Israel, and Russia shaping its future. The biggest risk is miscalculation. A single strike could trigger a devastating regional war. Russia could act as a mediator, using its influence to de-escalate tensions, or it could double down on its alliance with Iran. The path Moscow chooses will depend on its priorities, especially the outcome of the Ukraine war. The US also plays a crucial role. Its engagement or withdrawal will influence whether the region stabilizes or spirals into conflict. Alliances are shifting, technology is advancing, and the old rules no longer apply. The future could bring tense peace or catastrophic war, depending on decisions made in Moscow, Tehran, Tel Aviv, and Washington. The stakes are enormous, and the margin for error is razor thin. Careful diplomacy is needed to avoid disaster. The recent missile attack rumor was a stress test for one of the world's most volatile regions. It showed how quickly misinformation can spark fears of global crisis. The Iran-Israel rivalry, combined with the Russia-Iran partnership, creates a combustible mix with global consequences. Every move is scrutinized, as a single misstep could disrupt energy supplies and draw in nuclear powers. Russia's ambiguous role adds to the uncertainty, keeping the world on edge. This situation is a microcosm of larger global power struggles, old rivalries, amplified by new alliances and weaponized information. The world remains a stakeholder, hoping today's tensions don't become tomorrow's headlines.